Selamat pagi, siang, malam, dan dimanapun Anda berada. Kita ketemu lagi di Kuat Baca Diplomasi Club. I'm your host now, Andre Abdurrahman, with His Excellency Sandip Chakraforty. Glad and happy to be here, sir. And this is a platform dedicated to discuss foreign affairs and public policies. Today, we have a lot of discussed, so bear with us. And here also Mas Ade, to our co-host, to talk about several issues and several dynamics that we can talk with His Excellencies. About His Excellencies, please introduce yourself and how are you?
Good. Thank you. I'm very happy to be on this Quad Bacha show, and I'm also very happy that you have a show on and with diplomats. So I think it brings out an interesting aspect of Indonesia's relationships. I came here about a year back. I am not very familiar with Indonesia, but I'm learning fast. I'm also trying to learn the language, but at my age it's not easy. I speak 5 languages. Bahasa will be my 5th language. So at this age, picking up 5th language is tough, but it's a beautiful language, and I understand. So I understand more than I can speak. So,
amazing.
I have been here for a year, and it's a fascinating country. We have seen elections in Indonesia. We have seen elections in India. We are all excited with the transition that is happening. We look forward to working with the new government. So lots happening in Indonesia, lots happening in India and the world. So it's a good time to be an ambassador of India in Indonesia.
Yes. Thank you very much. First thing first, we always see the diplomats come and go, Mas Ade.
Yes,
and they have a lot of talks, especially the cultures, how it intermingles in our countries. How do you see Indonesia's the humid weather, the hot? And maybe India have 4 seasons.
Yes.
Indonesia have 2, and the food, of course, movies, maybe.
Well, as I said when I came here, and to many journalists, that I feel very much at home in Indonesia. It's not very far from India, and the weather is hot and humid, but we also have similar weather in India, in parts of India. So weather-wise, it's very similar to many parts of India. Culturally, also very similar. We are very similar kind of people with food habits. We eat rice, we eat fish, and also one startling aspect of and very important aspect of Indonesia is the diversity. So every island is different. Every few hundred kilometers the food changes. Even the language changes, and you can make out people by their accents. And even in island like Java, there is difference between, let's say, West Java and East Java and Central Java, and people are very rooted in their land, and then they identify themselves very strongly with where they belong to, whether it is Sumatra or Kalimantan or Bali or Java. So I think in many aspects I find a lot of similarities between Indonesia and India. Of course, Indonesia is a modern country. It is developing. We want to be partners of Indonesia. It's a young country. There are more people like him than me in this country. But a country which is proud of its culture, proud of its religion, proud of its contribution to the world. So as I said before, I find lots to do here. I thought when I came here first, I thought I'll just play golf, but but that is not happening much. That is not happening much. I get busy in other things to do, and I must say that everybody I met, all my colleagues, diplomatic colleagues, some of whom have been on this show, they are very happy being in Indonesia.
Okay. So what do you see about because Indonesia and in India have historical perspective, like this country have a great relations between them since Majapahit Kingdom. What do you see about it from the historical perspective?
You see, in fact, it is much older. It's older than Majapahit. I think even in Sri Vijaya or even in older, there were connections when there were Buddhist kingdoms here. You know, monks and teachers and students from Sumatra used to go to Nalanda University. So this is, you know, we are talking of early AD or BC. That kind of relations was there, and it has continued. And it did with the coming to the end of the Majapahit in the 16th century, it did not end. Because you see, during the colonial period also, you know, there were linkages, and in the 19th century, there was British rule in for a few years. British rule was there, and you know, at that time. Singapore was controlled from Calcutta, so even at that time there was interaction, and you know, Raffles reported to Minto, and so there has been interaction. Then even the Portuguese, when they ruled in let's say in Timor, they ruled from Goa. So even during the colonial times there was interaction, and it has continued. And then during the revolution, the independence movement of Indonesia, I know Bung Sukarno and Sultan Sajid and Hatta, they all had great connections with each other, you know, with the Indian leadership, and India supported the independence of Indonesia, and Indonesia became independent. Actually, the Proclamasi was before even India's independence, although full independence and sovereignty was achieved in the end of 1949, but Proclamasi was from 1945. So you know, that has continued. Then there was the Bandung's period, then there was non-aligned movement, and it has continued. So it is a very, very interesting story of interactions dating back to centuries, or maybe millennia.
Wow. It's millennia.
So it's really influencing each other. Yeah. How about influencing each other? I talked with His Excellency before about watching movies.
Yes.
And we have renowned movie producer in Indonesia, Ram Punjabi. He's make a lot of cinema, not for TVs. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's significantly influenced by Indian movies in Indonesia. How you see about the cinematography? It's not really brought back a lot of them, but we still enjoy seeing Indian actors. Of course, Shah Rukh Khan always very famous in here. I don't know, and Kajol, of course, his co-star. So
also, Mahabharat movie is also popular in here.
Mahabharat is very popular in Indonesia. No, you see, I think you're very, very right. In the beginning, Indian movies were very popular in Indonesia. There were many cinema halls which used to run Indian movies on a regular basis, and many people I met, particularly senior people, they still remember many movies and film stars and actors and actresses, and they remember the stories. Also on several channels, Indian movies used to run.
Yeah.
They still do. They still do, and there are several TV channels on which Indian movies run. I have seen it myself. And initially, Mr. Ram Punjabi used to get movies from India. But what I want to emphasize, and through your channel and your show, is that Ram Punjabi is now a producer of Indonesian films. It's hardly ever he is getting Indian movies. He makes movies here, and then they are popular here. Most of the movies in Indonesia, as you know very well, are scary and ghost movies. So and I went to India recently, and I met with a film actor. And he was telling me, can I work with some Indonesian producers to produce such films in India also? So that's a genre which Indonesia is the global leader, I think. You know, and there is Ram Punjabi, there is Manoj Punjabi, there are so many producers of films and series, and they are making films here in Indonesia with Indonesian cast, Indonesian director, and the connections with India may have been stronger in the past, but now it's very, very an Indonesian industry.
It's more like the taste now is more Indonesian, isn't it?
Yes,
That is influence. I mean, that's the point.
Yes. Influence is still in there.
Influence may have been there, but it is a very, very vibrant film industry in Indonesia, and they are doing well, and I get invitations to some movies. I have not seen many, but I have seen a few. Yeah.
Amazing.
I heard also that Your Excellency is also like to watch movie.
Yeah.
And he held some event watching together in.
Oh yes, I must say this. You know, because this is a diplomatic talk show. We have taken an initiative with some embassies, and we have launched something known as the Jakarta Diplomatic Film Club. Yeah. So that club was formed, and what the idea behind the club is that we should get together and show to diplomatic community and Indonesians films from countries whose films are not normally seen. Okay, so that was the objective of this film club, and we have already had 2 screenings. One we showed a Bosnian film, and the first one was a Romanian film. Both were very highly acclaimed film, and more than 150 people showed up. So we want to do it periodically, and now we are looking for another country whose film we would like to show. So I would like to advertise our Jakarta Diplomatic Film Club. It is on Instagram. It's at JDFC. So please follow it, and everybody is welcome. It's not it's open entry, free entry, and I would request your viewers to join the Diplomatic Film Club and be part of this very exciting initiative that we have taken.
Sure. So noted from the His Excellency's words, and we can come to the
Yes, of course.
Absolutely. What we also do is, when the film show happens, let's say one country is showing its film, we encourage them to also have a food and drink from their country. So it's not only a film experience but also a culinary experience.
So it's a 360 experience, like what you see and what you feel and what you taste.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Exactly. Your Excellency, there's another part about the intermingling of the cultures. There's overseas citizenship of Indonesia, OCI. How about it?
Well, as you know, there is a policy or a plan of the government that they want to introduce overseas citizens of Indonesia cards for Indonesians who live abroad.
Yeah.
Indonesia, I understand, does not give dual nationality. India also does not give dual nationality. But we came out with something which is as good as dual nationality. It is called overseas citizenship, overseas citizen of India. That entitles that person to come to India, stay as long as he or she wants to live, buy property, do banking transactions. As good as a citizen. The only right that they do not get is to vote. So we have this model which is very successful. It has linked our overseas Indian community with India, and we were then approached by the Indonesian Ministry of Law and Human Rights. They were interested in our model. They visited India several times, and I think they want to pick up the best practices from all over the world and come up with a solution for Indonesians who live abroad. I'm not aware of what has happened finally. Maybe it will be announced later, or maybe they are still finalizing it. But my suggestion to the Indonesian government was that try to make it into a digital card, in the sense that it should not be like a passport. It should be, you should be able to use it for transactions and have a verifiable identity like we have in India, unique ID. So that is a technical part where we have offered our support and cooperation.
That's interesting. We're learning about not dual citizenship, but something like that.
That's what I am.
But still, the overseas peoples that still inherit the love from their parents, or the love to back to their grandparents maybe, and the country, but still need some identification, this and that. So it's quite, breakthrough. So how about, there's another issues that we also big in Indonesia thing. A few years back, we always kept talking about Indo Pacific.
Indo Pacific. Yes.
And another, we see that India is one of the big in the tables. Like it's not only the so-called USA and this and that, but India also play a big part. How about you see that, Mr. Ambassador?
You see, how we view the world. We view the world as a multipolar world. And if you want a multipolar world, then you will have to have a multipolar Indo Pacific, in the sense that you cannot have one power dominating in the Pacific. So, what are the powers that at least we see? We see Indonesia as a power, or let's say ASEAN as a power. Of course, China is a power, Japan is a power, Australia is a power. So, the Indo-Pacific concept basically tries to bring forth that all of us in this region are stakeholders. It is in our interest that this place is inclusive, it is peaceful, there is no conflict, and rights and interests of all countries are respected. The international order, the rule of law should prevail in this region, and because this region sees huge trade. A large percentage of the world traffic actually moves from this region. So we do not want conflict here. We want safe passages. We want freedom of navigation. We don't want things like illegal fishing. We don't want marine pollution. We don't want our seas to be contaminated. So many challenges are there today, where I think India and Indonesia and the countries of the Indo-Pacific should work together. So I think that is the concept of Indo-Pacific, and I believe that Indonesia is truly an Indo-Pacific country, because I think apart from Australia, you are the only country which has both an Indian Ocean and an Indo-Pacific Ocean coastline. So you are truly Indo-Pacific power, and I think Indonesia is conscious of that and wants to play a big role in this area. And I think the concept of Indo-Pacific fits in very well with Indonesia's own approach of free and active foreign policy, where you don't want to take sides, and you basically work for your own national interest.
So what do you see about China and United States competition in Pacific, something like the Bengali conflict in there? Because I heard that the Bangladesh chaos is also influenced by Pakistan and something like that, and also it's also influenced by China. So what do you think? What do you think about the competition in the Pacific between United States and also China?
Well, it's a very interesting question you have raised. One point which I would first say is that it is a reality. You see the competition, and countries like Indonesia, India, we are affected by that competition. Whether we are affected positively or negatively, that depends on the situation. But there is a competition, and you see, the United States has been the dominant power in the world after the breakdown of the Soviet Union, and China has risen. It's a reality. You cannot deny it. And China, as it rises, it will naturally want to assert its power and have a say in global affairs. And when that happens, countries which are in the position of power, they will feel challenged, and then they will take steps and measures to counter that. So it is something which has always happened in the world. From Greek times, we have seen this. We all know about the Thucydides trap and all that. But whether we are going throughout that, whether it will end in conflict, I think we should not allow that to terminate in conflict. Countries like India, Indonesia, we are moderating powers, we are balancing powers. We should work to see that this rivalry doesn't enter into conflict. I think that is the challenge the world faces, and we should be very conscious of that, and we should play that role. I think Indonesia is playing that role. India is also playing that role, but I think the world requires us to be more active in this. So there are many dimensions of that conflict, but I think what is in our interest is that the rule of law should be followed, international law should be followed, unclothed should be respected. I think that's also the Indonesian position, and the rule of the sea, the law of the sea should be followed. And if we do not do it in one case and we want to do it in other cases, then people, our countries feel that the rule of law is not being followed. So it's a very complicated issue. We have to see how it evolves, but there is no denying that there is rivalry, and each country would want more other countries to be in their camp or whatever you may want to say. But countries like India and Indonesia don't want to do that. We want to do what is in our favor, what is in our best interest, because we are not developed countries. We are not like US or China. Our basic needs are very, very important. Our challenge is to remove poverty. Our challenge is to feed our people. Our challenge is to make our industry grow. Challenge is to become more strong. So in that challenge, if we start taking sides and enter into conflicts, it's not good for our own people. So I think that consciousness is very strong in India and also in Indonesia.
So we're talking about a lot of hard stuff. And we must talking, Your Excellency, about the leisures and the kind of tourisms, diplomacy in the tourisms. I mean, we have Your Excellency here. I want to talk about not only social issues but or diplomatic issues, but the tourisms. For me myself, I have never been to India. Just seeing Taj Mahal is great. Going there's a huge monument like 100-meter tall.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's another
tallest statue in the world. Yeah. But you also have a beautiful tall statue. I think the third or fourth largest in Bali, called the Garuda Vishnu Kencana.
Garuda Vishnu Kencana, yes.
G20 summit took place. No, you are very right. You see, Indonesia is or India is the second largest source country of tourists from India in the world. Last year we had about 650,000 tourists coming to Indonesia. We may have 1 million tourists next year.
Yeah.
So it is growing. So Indians contribute to the economy of Indonesia in a big way. We don't have as many tourists going to India, but I think if people like you start going, I think it will encourage that. That's the thing.
I mean, I love Indian cuisines, Your Excellencies. Not only curry, chicken tikka, and so on and so forth, but I would like to try the food in the countries. But suddenly, we see surging about in social media about this kind of food, unhygienic, negative. How do you see that? Those things?
Some of the stories which were in Indonesia were fake stories. So I think some people amplified those stories. I don't say that there is no challenge. I don't say that the hygiene is not an issue. Of course, in a big country and developing country which is not so rich, hygiene is an issue. But I think we have taken many steps, and with every day our standards are improving. The bigger challenge is quality of food. Quality of food. You may be serving bad quality food in very hygiene conditions. Which is food which is contaminated, which has pesticide, which has got chemicals, water which is contaminated, plastic contaminated. I think these are the bigger issues. And we have something known as the Food Safety Standards Organization of India, which is doing remarkable work in making sure that the food that you are claiming to be in a package, it is actually that. And India has very strict laws now ensuring that food standards are maintained. Then we have also certifications of restaurants. We have certification of roadside dhaba. But as you know that it's a large country with a huge population. So sometimes things may not be what one would like it to be. But having said that, I would say that tourists love India. India is a huge tourist destination. India has everything. For instance, not only Taj Mahal, but we have skiing in the Himalayas to diving diving in Andaman or in Lakshadweep, and beaches, temples, big mosques. Then wildlife tourism, adventure tourism. India has it's still a huge forest area. India is the only country in the world which has tiger and the lion together. And all the 4 big cats are there: the tiger, the lion, the cheetah, and the cheetah has been reintroduced in India from Africa, and the leopard. We just don't have the puma and the jaguar. So these are the 6 big cats.
Big cats.
Big cats. Indonesia is also has big cats. So these are the things to go and see in India, and numbers are increasing. I find a lot of interest in Indonesia tourism to go to Ladakh, to the mountains in Kashmir.
Ladakh in the north of India.
North of India, next to Kashmir. Yeah. So there is interest, and channels like yours helps us to spread the word. And as more flights connect us, last year till July last year there was no direct air connectivity between Indonesia and India. Now we have at least 3 flights a day connecting Jakarta and Bali to India. But we may have more in the coming months. Yeah.
But I believe that Indian cuisine will be tasty because it uses a lot of spices.
Yes.
And it has a similar taste with Indonesian cuisine.
Yes.
Padang food, they say, is very similar. I also find the Padang food is very similar to Indonesian food. Yeah.
What about gastro diplomasi between Indonesia and India?
Well, I must say at a personal level I am contributing to it because my daughter has joined a culinary institute in Tangerang. She is doing a 1-year course there. So she will train as an Indonesian chef.
That's amazing.
That's my personal contribution.
Yes.
But again, I believe that Indonesian cuisine is very good. It's you see, I found a difference between Indonesian cuisine and Indian cuisine. In Indian cuisine, we put the spices and the hot chili in the food itself. But you guys also eat a lot of hot food. But you eat it as sambal or separately from the main. So that is the cultural difference which I find between Indonesia and India. But you guys eat a lot of chilies, So,
We love spicy food.
sambal pa is
Even normal Indonesians don't want to.
Yeah, but they eat. And when inflation was happening last few months back, I was seeing that in the papers everyone was monitoring the cost of this chabe,
Red chilies.
So chabe is always sold in the market. You always go any shop you go, you find chabe. So in fact, I have started growing chabe in the house because
That's really interesting.
so there is lot of interest. And I tell my friends that when I retire from Indonesia, I will try to open a small Indonesian restaurant in India. And I already thought of the name.
Wow.
Ask me what is the name. It will be Nongkrong. I love the concept of Nongkrong also. So
Concept of just sitting around,
talking and chatting and hang out.
hang out.
So
It's similar
Nongkrong
to angkringan, something like that.
Angkringan is Java.
Java.
Nongkrong is slang. Usually urban areas terms. So
what is the Javanese word?
Angkringan.
Angkringan.
Quite hard for foreigners, but use a lot of sound, but it's have a similar in some extent. It has similar doing, just sitting around, chatting or drinking coffee, eating something.
Yes. No, I live in Menteng, so in front of my house there is Taman Surupati. So on Friday evening, Saturday evening, lots of people are just drinking coffee and doing Nongkrong.
Exactly. I think we conclude.
Maybe we have some Q&A question from the students.
So my name is Devi Mutia. I am international relations student from Budaya University. I have a question about Indonesia and India relation in economic relation. Okay. So my question is, how are the two countries, which means India and Indonesia, trying to improve economic relations, especially in terms of trade and investment? Thank you.
Thank you, Devi. I'm very happy to answer your question. You see, India is, I think, the 4th or the 5th largest trading partner of Indonesia. So the India-Indonesia trade is very huge. In 23 it was almost $40 billion, but this year it has gone down a bit. Indonesia has a trade surplus with India, almost $20 billion trade surplus with India. We are one of the biggest buyers of coal and palm oil and other raw materials from Indonesia. And we also sell engineering goods and certain other products to Indonesia. So the trade relationship is quite robust, but I think we can do more. We have a target of 50 billion by 2025. I don't think we will be able to achieve the target, but still there is a lot of trade happening between Indonesia and India. The investment relationship is also healthy, but we can of course do more. We have about 100 Indian companies who are present here in Indonesia in various sectors. And as of now, we have about 13 to 14 Indonesian companies also invested in Indonesia. That number is growing. So there is a healthy participation of Indian companies in this economy, and they are contributing to the Indonesian economy. We also have a large diaspora here. Indian origin people, they also contribute to the economy. They are running companies here, but many of them are not Indians anymore. Their forefathers may have come hundreds of years back, or maybe in the last century, but they're as much Indonesian as anybody else. But they maintain ties with India, and we are very happy that they are here, and they also contribute to the Indonesian economy.
Now, Mr.
Okay. Do you want to say thank you? Okay, my name is Hubungan, and I'm a university student from Universitas Belitung. And I actually have an interest on how India, use the strategy on building the relationship with Indonesia. And my question is, what are the main communities that India has, which have the potential to be used as part of its political and economic strategy with Indonesia? I think that's my question.
That's a very interesting question, and he must be one of your bright students. Asked you Thank you for the question. You see, this is a challenge. This is what occupies our mind every day. How and what can be the new areas of cooperation between Indonesia and India? One area which I think is underexploited is that we are maritime neighbors. India and Indonesia are 100 miles apart from each other. So we should do more cooperation in the maritime space, protecting our maritime environment, being aware of what is happening in the maritime environment. That's called maritime domain awareness. In fisheries we can cooperate. In preventing the pollution of our seas we can cooperate. Indonesia is an archipelagic country, but India also has a huge coastline. We also have islands. So there are a lot of learnings that we can have from Indonesia and vice versa. So that is one area where I see a lot of potential of cooperation. Then in the digital sphere, as Indonesia is wanting to become EMAS Indonesia by 2045, the route is digitalization. We will have to move everything into the digital, use more technology, use more the cyber world to get empowered. So that is something in which India is fully motivated and working, and that is one area where we are looking for cooperation with Indonesia. The third area is food security. Indonesia has a growing population, young population, land is becoming scarce, water is becoming scarce. How we can work together to make sure that we are able to feed our people. That is one area again where I think we can do much more with Indonesia than we have done in the past. The last point would be in technologies, in biotechnology, in other technologies, cyber technologies, AI, drone technologies, defense technologies. In these areas, India is trying to becoming self-reliant, because so far we have been depending on Europe and America for our technologies. But we feel that if you have to become a power in the world, you need to be able to make your own things rather than always depend on others. Because during COVID, we found a lot of difficulty. We could not even get some of the pharmaceutical products that were needed to save lives in India. So that was a crude, sharp lesson for us, and we are now we have learned, and we are trying to becoming self-reliant. And also you have your own program of downstreaming of manufacturing in Indonesia. In that we want to partner. So I see many areas. I have listed 5, but I'm sure there are much more. Education could be one. Training and education could be another area of cooperation.
I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that this our last session. With Your Excellencies Sandip Chakraborty, and thank you very much for your insight, Your Excellencies, because your response is really insightful and never been before. We're talking about not the deep level diplomatic talks, but we have a light discussion about Gastro.
Yes, Gastro Diplomasi.
Cinema. And of course, we should see that Habel and Debbie also asking about the how we making the India and Indonesia near. For instance, we have a border in sea border. India and Indonesia have a shared sea border. So in the north of Aceh is shared border with India in the sea. So we actually closer than before. Than a lot of people think that India and Indonesia is really far. So I mean, that us more nearer, that us are more closer than before, and I think that your insight have provide valuable things. Then we see in Kuatbaca Diplomatic Talk. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining this show, and I'm very happy to be on your show, and I really enjoy talking to the both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
very much,
Thank you.
and see you guys again on Diplomatic Talk Kuatbaca.
See you.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye.